Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. I'm Baba Sam. Today is October 10th. It's World Mental Health Day, and I want to share my reflections on mental health today and what I think is missing in society because there is a mental health epidemic and it's not being addressed. It simply isn't being addressed. You see, look at all the violence around us in the world, all this anger, all this division. It's just a mess. So my own experience, I was hit by a van at age 6 that caused a lot of head trauma. So I had a lot of mental health issues from that. I remember it was either 6th or 7th grade. I was missing a lot of time in school. So they did the upper GI, the lower GI test, and they found nothing organically wrong. You see, I didn't like being in school. I didn't like being around people. They made me very nervous, very anxious. So there's nothing wrong with me organically in the physical body. It was all in my thoughts. I was always concerned what people thought of me, what's their opinion, this constant judgment. And, I was quite unwell from that. So I was going through, high school as an undiagnosed bipolar. Then in my 20s, I finally got help because I was at the lowest point in my life. I was very suicidal and I needed to be institutionalized. I had to be institutionalized twice in my 20s because I was suicidal. And it wasn't until the time I got the right diagnosis as a bipolar. Before that, I was seeing various psychologists and psychiatrists. They couldn't really figure it out, or they didn't really spend the time with me to figure it out. They'd give me antidepressants, which would fly me up into a mania. It was just all over the place. Finally went to the director at Bipolar down at the University of Pennsylvania. He did some tests, like an MRI, which was unheard of at that time. It was pretty rare for an MRI to happen. And he did some other organic tests too to make sure that there was nothing organically wrong with the body, and it wasn't. And he questioned me, talked to me for about an hour and a half, maybe 2, or was it 2.5 hours? It was a very, very long session, the initial intake, if you will. And he diagnosed me as this bipolar. And at that time, I was very depressed, very down. But I had periods in my life where my mood is all over the place, where I feel great in the afternoon, horrible at night, or horrible in the morning, and all ecstatic in the afternoon. I was a rapid cycler bipolar, so I was all over the place. So he was trying to find the right medicine combination for me. And it took about 5 years to get that medicine right, where my mood was stable. But during this time, my thoughts were never addressed. Like, why are you taking your thoughts as truth? Your beliefs, your opinions, why are they true? That was never a question to me. It was always medicine. Trying different medicines to find that combination where my mood was stabilized, but never addressing the root issue. And I think that's what's missing today, is that we are spiritual beings. And this may make no sense to you. I didn't have any sense of this. In my world, it wasn't real unless I could see it. The invisible didn't exist to me. So I was in this very skeptical place that, if I don't see it, it's not true. It's not real. It wasn't, and actually I'm seeing a lot of this in society today, is they're not approaching the spiritual aspect. I would say about 90% of the people, maybe a little bit higher, don't know themselves as a spiritual being. You go in these support groups, and I was there too. I am depressed, I am bipolar, I am stressed, I am overwhelmed. And all these stories that we have, I was my labels, I was my concepts. I could not see beyond them. It wasn't until I had a paranormal experience or a supernatural experience to shift my reality. I saw flashlights going on and off by command. I felt somebody sit next to me that I could not see. And then when they sat next to me, I just felt this overwhelming sense of dread. But I was a very curious person. So I was like, well, what did I experience here? So I was like, well, mediums talk to dead people supposedly. So let me go read a book from a medium and see if I can figure out what's going on here. Because that had to shift my reality that there is something beyond our senses, our physical eyes. And eventually I found the one book. I was reading a few books until I finally stumbled upon this one book where they talked about meditation, raising their vibration to talk to spirit. So they talked about meditation. And one of the benefits of meditation was inner peace. I'm like, aha, I need inner peace. I am so stressed out. I'm so overwhelmed with life. I need some peace. At this time, I was dealing with multiple sclerosis, lost the ability to walk, bipolar. My mood was stabilized until I was diagnosed with MS. My mood started to fluctuate and go all over the place again. Then I had the psoriasis, the psoriatic arthritis. I was just a mess, and I needed some help. But I need that help to come from me, that I needed inner peace. So I had a very simple practice, and I discovered I had thoughts, but I wasn't my thoughts. If I wasn't my thoughts, then who am I? Then one day, I just simply knew I was spirit. And that is what is missing today in the mental health system, is we're not dealing with the spiritual aspect. We're only dealing with the humanness. And this humanness is fleeting, if you will. The real us, the one that sees through the eyes, is spirit, soul, consciousness, whatever you wish to call it. We are not this body, we are not these thoughts. And if this doesn't make sense to you, this is an example I use all the time because I think it really illustrates this point. Look at old photographs of yourself through the years. Where did you go? Look at all these changing bodies. Where did you go? No place. The one who sees through the eyes never changes. That's the spirit. Another thing that's missing in the mental health system is learning to be here in this moment. Because usually my own personal experience with psychiatrists, psychologists, is they're chasing thoughts with more thoughts. But thoughts are never here in this moment. They're either in the past or they're in their future guessing. They're not here. Do you realize you're sitting right now? You're listening. Do you know what's going on in your environment? Are you caught up in the story of yesterday or what's going to happen tomorrow? So learning to be here is another key component, because all of our power is right here in this moment. So I began with a very simple 5-minute a day practice, because I'd never had a spiritual teacher. They had to meditate a certain way, had to sit up straight, had to hold your hands in mudras. You had to do all these rules. That would not have worked out for me. I was kind of compulsive with my bipolar, a little bit of OCD. So if you gave me rules, I've been so fixated on the rules. Am I sitting right? Are my hands right? Am I sitting cross-legged properly? All these stories were just kept me wrapped up in the mind even more. But I just learned to just sit there quietly in a chair. But then I thought, meditation means you stop thinking. That's not the case at all. That's when I discovered I have thoughts, but I'm not my thoughts. I'm the awareness of the thoughts, which is that consciousness, the spirit, the soul. But we just need to relax, slow it down, and everything will be okay. We have these stories that we're incurable, that we have this or that, but we're not. We just need to go beyond those labels into who you really are. You are perfect spirit, but we're so attached to this body. We need to just relax and realize, I am the essence. All right, take good care of yourself. I'll talk to you tomorrow.